everyone, this is Sara Al Mawali and we are in the Unsaid show here in Oman FM 90.4 every day at 1 p.m. And today we're going to be talking about youth and their well-being. And I'm here with two special guests, including our usual. So introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. I'm Sahar Salmanian and I'm so excited for this episode.
Hi everyone, my name is Monique. I am also part of Not Alone organization, and let's go. Let's talk about the youth.
Yo, what's up guys? Y'all miss me? Back at it again, Oman FM. My name is Kareem. I'm part of Not Alone and I'm ambassador, and I'm ready for today's podcast.
Me too. So today we're going to be talking about Youth Day, why is it important, and maybe some of the struggles youth go through, and also how to take care of ourselves and for the youth as well, anything that can benefit them. And the best thing about the Unsaid show is that we talk about mental health, we talk about anything that we don't really normally talk about on our day-to-day life. So
that's why it's called Unsaid.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's get to it. We'll go on a short break and we will be back. Hello everyone, we are back on the Unsaid show. We are live every Monday from 1 p.m. So I introduced my team today, and today we are talking about youth and their well-being. Did you guys know that August 1st is World Youth Day?
Well, now I know.
Now you know.
Honestly, I think every day should be Youth Day. we should be celebrating the next generation that's gonna carry Oman to the future.
That's true.
That was nice.
That's true. And actually, August 12th is International Youth Day.
So August is about youth.
August is about youth. And then October is Omani Youth Day.
Oh, nice.
So we have so many youth days. But as Kareem said, Youth Day should be celebrated every single day.
Yes.
Like any other days that we have on calendar, I believe it's just an excuse for us to remind ourselves the importance of youth, the importance of their potentials, their energy. Because as Karim said, youth are the future leaders, the future change makers, and they are so passionate and they're so creative. So we need them so much. I count myself as youth. I'm not gonna say I'm old.
We're all young at heart. We're all young at heart.
I want to be young at heart.
And we should talk about that.
Yeah.
About does age really, like, do we have to put a person in a
age
box,
limit.
like an age limit
Yeah.
to be youth?
Yeah. What is the age, Monique? What is the age on?
When I was part of a youth organization, AISEC, ISEC, when I was in university. So for us at that time, if I remember correctly, the age of youth was from 16 to 29 years old. But I still consider myself as youth. As well in South Africa, I was just, as you were speaking, I was thinking about, in South Africa, I know Youth Day is in June, the 16th of June. And the reason why we celebrate Youth Day is because in history, the youth were instrumental in pushing forward human rights and the history of South Africa, if any of you know, they were instrumental in that change and positive change, protests. It still goes on in South Africa. And I think the youth have that inspiration, they have that motivation for social change.
That's so
Yes,
true.
yeah.
So we have different categories for ages. Some people say from 16, some believe that it's after 16, 18 and 19. But I do believe that it's not necessarily about age, as Sarah mentioned. There are some characteristics about youth that make them youth. What are those characteristics, do you think?
Honestly, I feel like creativity is a huge factor in this.
I agree.
For the youth to... What defines the youth? People that are young at heart, right? Now, it's typically known that young people are very imaginative, creative. They love exploring. Everything to them is like the first thing that they see in their life. And having that ability at the age like 19, 20 and above, that's incredible. I feel like it's a really good talent to have.
And I like that you said that youth can be like something that you feel in the heart.
Yeah.
I think anybody can be youthful because it's about the spirit, about the soul, about how you go about your life more than just this is the age limit and that's it. Then after 29, you're not a youth anymore. But why? Why not?
Yeah.
Why can't we all still strive and want change? And even if we're like in our 30s, 40s, 50s, why can't we still have that same motivation and still give a chance for the younger generation to still pick up and, be the change?
Yeah, that's true. So it's all about that fresh perspective that youth have, and they are so energetic to work towards their ideas. Because I feel like when we are at those ages, we believe that we can make a change, and we want to make a change for ourselves, for our family, and then later on for the society, which is a very beautiful purpose to have in life.
Yes.
That brings me to a good point. You said that you mentioned something about families and parents. Now, it's really critical for the parent. The parents have a really critical role in developing the child's mind, because when you're at that age, when you're young, you mostly rely on your friends and your family.
That's true.
So it's really important that the parents nurture the child and teach them right from wrong, so that they have the power and they could point it in the right direction.
Yeah, and also think about it. Even when the parents teach the child what's right and wrong, they go out into the world and they continue to learn what's right and wrong based on their values and based on their perception of life.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of growing and being in this world, is you're going to continue to grow and learn.
I think there are so many factors that have a lot of impact on youth. as you said, family, society, education, country, economy. And we will talk about them more in detail, maybe after a break. But we would love to hear your stories. So please call us on
24949493. I'll say it again, 24949493. We will go on a short break. Make sure to call us and continue this lovely conversation.
This is Oman FM.
Hello, everyone. We are back on the Unsaid show, a show that we talk about mental health, ending the stigma, and speaking about anything that is not really talked about. So today we're talking about youth and their well-being. We started off talking about Youth Day, the different youth days that are celebrated in different countries, including Oman, and why we celebrate youth days. And that, you know, that the youth are the leaders. They are out there to make change. They're the motivators. And something that I wanted to bring up apart from that, youth do go through a lot of changes.
Yeah.
They go through a lot of things in their own lives as well. What do you guys think? So some of the challenges that they go through.
Yeah, I can talk about family and relationships because I see clients in this particular area. So I do believe that family dynamic has so much impact on youth. Carrie mentioned that a little bit. So if we look at family as a system, every member in this system is connected to what is going through in the family. Each member, their challenges, their problems, and they interact with each other in this way. So if there is something in the family, let's say if there there is a conflict between couples, parents, if there is a conflict between siblings, of course it will have so much impact on youth. And at the same time, they have a huge role in facilitating and smoothing the relationship within the family, because they are one of the most important members in the system. True. Because they're fresh and they have, as we mentioned, they are so creative and they have a lot of ideas out of the box, so they can do a lot of things for the family. This is one thing. And the other thing that came to my mind is identity crisis, because at this age we are discovering our identity, what we want, what we don't like, what do I like to do in my next chapter. So this identity crisis and the changes, the transitions that I have in terms of who I am will affect me and then my family, the system.
I can definitely speak to that, because from personal experience I know how much change and growth happened for me when I was in my 20s. So even up to 28 years old, a big shift and transition happened for me, you know. Yeah,
I think we all do relate to that, right? In different ways. Of course, all our journeys are unique, but this transition is part of our growth.
And it's necessary to go through them so we can learn. And I think we talked even earlier during our break about how our 20s are quite confusing. That age where, you know, you still haven't got a lot of experience from life, but at the same time you're still learning and you're still growing. And I'm a youth counselor, so I see a lot of ages between 12 to 20s, and a lot of things that they go through is social pressure.
Yeah.
And that goes back to identity.
Right.
And then also academic pressure is like, you know, there's so many options that you need to choose from, and not knowing where to go or where you're going, if you're making the right choices. Expectations from family, from society, that leads to anxiety, that leads to feeling that inadequate. And I think that all plays a role in a youth's life, is who am I? Where do I belong? What should I do next?
Am I good enough?
Am I good enough?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I think as a youth counselor is trying to lay everything out on, like, flat out, and okay, let's categorize them, and who can you be? In, like, I like this quote that said, who are you before the world told you who you should be?
Yeah. If you don't have an answer, the world will tell you, dictate you who you should be. Yeah, I like that quote. What do you guys think? Because I'm sure you have a lot of personal experiences. If you can share it with us, we would appreciate.
Well, when it comes to the whole figuring out who you are and what's my role in life, what do I want to be, it's a very confusing time, you know, especially in grade 12, right? So this is the time where you decide who do you want to be for the rest of your life. You want to be an engineer, doctor, etc., etc. It's very confusing, because at that age you don't even know what you want. It's like
you're just exploring.
Yeah. And the thing is, I know a lot of people that even like maybe 3 years into their degree, they just quit and they go into a different field.
Yeah.
And it just shows you that no matter how old you are, there's still things that you still need to figure out.
Yeah.
And that's completely normal. It shouldn't be a big thing.
Yeah.
If you're maybe 5 years into med school and you don't like medicine, you can leave. Doesn't have to be a problem.
That's important, is knowing that we don't have to stick to one thing.
Yeah.
And I think when you're 20s, or even before your 20s, you feel like you have to choose between all these options, and having all these options in life is confusing.
It's confusing, yeah.
And overwhelming.
Yeah. Because you're like, okay, do I choose this? Is this the right thing for me? Should I go in this direction? Maybe that will be good for me. And then you start ruminating and having all this anxiety and overthinking life, and then you feel like you need to control everything. You need to control your life.
To be in control, right?
Yes, 100%.
That was a very good point, because I believe that's part of the pressure that youth go through at that particular age before college.
Yeah.
If we believe that this choice will define my whole life, of course I get anxious, because I feel like what if my choice is not the best choice. This happened to me personally. I chose a major for my bachelor. I studied for 4 years, and then I figured out that this is not what I want.
Me too.
Then I realized that I like psychology. But you know, that was not a waste of time, because I learned something. Even if you learn that this is not something you like, I believe that's a very valid information that you
life.
have.
100%.
That's living life.
Right.
Living life is all about making mistakes and learning from them. That's the core principle of life. If you're not making mistakes, are you really living?
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people have that fear of making mistakes, of fear of not doing the right thing, being the right person. And I think the whole point of having this conversation is that none of us is perfect. And
But youth is exactly the perfect time to make those mistakes.
Yeah. True.
Make as many mistakes in your 20s as you can, because you have to. That's the only way you can learn.
Yeah. As long as we are aware that I am making these choices and then I review how those choices impacted my life, what are the consequences.
Learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is a great conversation. I think we can all relate, and I'm sure you guys as well, our listeners, can relate too. And if you guys want to share with us your experience that might help other people, please call us on 24949493. I'll say it again, 24949493. We will go on a short break and we will be right back.
This is Oman FM.
We are back on the Unsaid show. So we were talking about youth and their well-being, why we're celebrating Youth Day, and what are the challenges they're going through. And we wanted to continue where we left off, because there's a lot that we still want to share with you guys. And of course, we want to hear from you. So please call us on 24949493. I'll say it again, 24949493. So we were talking about some of the challenges, which is the family dynamic. We talked about identity, about the social pressure, the academic pressures. I also wanted to talk about maybe some of the social media. That's a big one.
I agree. Social media is social media is one of the worst things ever to be released. Don't hate me. It's the truth.
That's your opinion. That's what you think.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Why?
Social media has such a strong control over the youth in terms of
I'll say everybody. Not even just
Yeah,
even
yeah.
babies.
yeah, you see those kids with the iPads. They're just... So when it comes to social media and the youth, social media creates these unrealistic expectations. They have these really strong gym guys and these really perfect picture perfect models, and it's not real. It's all Photoshop. It's all surgery. It's these things are not real. But for us, when we're just scrolling, it is real to us.
It's like a dopamine rush.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
How was it for you, Karen, personally?
Yeah.
Did you go through that?
Yes, I did. When I was younger, I'm still in social media a lot. I use it a lot. I think I should cut down a bit. But I noticed that I would start to compare myself with the people on social media. I'd start saying, I'm not good enough. I'm not doing more with my life. I'm not as strong as this guy. I'm not as good looking as this guy. And at some point I realized, if I'm gonna start comparing myself with other people, there will always be someone better. Someone more good looking, someone richer, there's always gonna be someone better.
Happier.
Exactly. Now,
And this is the other lie that social media, because we see the best parts of someone's life,
yes.
whereas we live our lives 24 hours a day, so we know our ups and downs.
Yeah.
And they don't put that on social media,
Right, yeah.
generally.
Is there any benefits of social media for youth?
For the youth, yeah, it's a way to it's the good side of social media is connecting people with others, connecting people with similar interests, hobbies. That's a good side. But the bad side could be really bad.
I think it's about a balance, right? Like,
Yeah.
because even before social media was there, I think the idea of comparison was still existing.
Magazines.
In different ways, yeah.
Magazines, even just academic pressure, going back to that social pressure, social status, in
Family pressures.
family pressures, like all of those can lead to maybe social comparison, can
Yeah.
lead to comparing yourself to other people. I guess nowadays with social media being like a platform for everybody
Yeah,
to
it's
use.
just more intense and constant because you're constantly on your social media and you're just mirroring yourself all the time. Although before it used to be in family gatherings when you go and see your
Yeah.
cousins, you compare yourself, the questions they ask you might put pressure on you that where are you, what are you doing with your life.
Yes.
But now it's more when you are you see your cousins online, you see your friends online, and you compare
Yes.
where you are. But as we always mention in all our episodes with different topics, what is the role of social media? We do believe that it's your choice, right? How you want to use it, because we believe there are so many benefits of social media, and at the end of the day, it's up to you. Are you going to believe the lies that social media is telling you, or you're going to have your own perspective? You're going to look at yourself the way you need to look at yourself.
For me, I'm very conscious about who I follow on social media, what content I'm allowing to, into my brain, into my subconscious, and what I get exposed to.
So that's
Because you-
possible, right?
Yes.
And sometimes even when you're so, hyper focused on who you're following, sometimes it still gets to you. And I think a part of that, it's okay. And I think it goes back to that idea of who am I? What kind of person do I want to be? How do I want to see myself and perceive myself? Because it's so easy to get stuck up in a whole illusion.
And that acceptance, you have to accept, okay, this is who I am. I figured out who I am now, and I accept this about myself.
That's
I get
true.
I get a lot of questions. How do I reach that? How can I accept myself? What do you guys think? Like, I get a lot of questions, like, it's so easy to say these things. Like, don't absorb yourself and don't do this and do that. Like, but how? It's a
think-
question a lot of people ask.
I think it's a step-by-step process. It's a day-by-day process. And some days are easier and some days are more challenging. So sometimes you have to look at yourself in the mirror and think, okay, today is a bit challenging. Let's try again tomorrow. And it's a constant journey of, okay, I choose to love myself
Commitment.
today.
It's
Yes.
a constant commitment to
Exactly.
yourself
Yeah.
to make those choices.
For me, I had like a really tough time accepting myself for the longest time. I think only, I would say, 3 years ago I started accepting myself fully. And it was a constant battle of self-hate. I'd look at myself in the mirror and I'd compare myself. And 3 years ago, at some point, I just realized something. I was like, this is my body, this is my face, this is my skin. If I'm not going to nurture it, if I'm not going to look after it, who will? You have to think of your body as a garden. You have to plant it every day. You have to make sure everything is growing healthy.
That's beautiful.
Only then you can shine. And that's when you'd accept yourself.
I love
That's
that.
true.
And I love that for you, for reaching that stage of loving and accepting yourself. And I think we can all relate to that as well, is that we constantly need to nurture ourselves.
That's one of the huge challenges that I think that we all went through and youth go through, is the body image.
Yes.
The self-image that you have of yourself, how you view yourself, even if it is not the way that others are looking at you. How do you look at yourself in the mirror, and what do you tell yourself? Because I personally went through that. I had a lot of inner battles with me about how do I look. So I believe if we are more connected with the narrative that we have about ourselves, those self-talks, the sentences, the should statements that we tell ourselves, then that's the first step to realize, is it really helpful? The things that I'm telling myself, are they really helping me to love who I am, even if I'm imperfect? And then the next step could be editing the narrative about who you are.
Like,
But
what
I
are the
think-
stories we're telling ourselves?
I think it's also a community effort, you know. We speak about fat phobia. It's so terrible and it's so ingrained in our society. So we need to be more compassionate towards other people. And it starts with you. When you see yourself, when you're able to show yourself that compassion, then I think the next step in that journey is to show others that compassion.
That's so
Definitely.
true.
And for those that are listening, I want to make something very clear. You are not ugly. You are beautiful. No matter how you look, you are beautiful, because beauty is from the inside. Your personality is what makes you beautiful, not your body. People need to realize that. Your image that people see, that's nothing. How you treat them, how you look after them, how you make people laugh, how you care for others. This is what makes you beautiful. And that's what I want you guys
Preach.
100%.
Preach. Snapping my fingers.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karim.
Even regarding body, I believe there is no fixed, clear cut about beauty. What is beauty when it comes to our body shape?
to know. That's true.
It's a beauty is a very relative concept. I can have my own definition of beauty about my body shape. Maybe I'm fine, I'm comfortable the way I look, and maybe it's not fine for someone else. It's a personal concept. It's a personal description of beauty.
And you have to make sure you're not being too harsh on yourself. Forgive yourself. Be more lenient with yourself.
Yeah, and and I think that doesn't go back to like you have to love yourself every day. Self-love is a journey, and it's a practice, and it's okay to love yourself in moments where you don't. And giving yourself that compassion and that gentleness that you deserve. If you don't get it from other people, give it to yourself. I think that comes from you first.
Yeah, and I believe the acceptance that you were asking, how difficult it is to reach to that point. Sometimes maybe when you are a young person, it's acceptance is accepting that during this period, I'm not going to be at peace fully.
Yeah.
In this period, I'm going to have a lot of ups and downs. I might change my mind. I make a lot of mistakes. And this is my journey for now. This is the way I discover who I am and
It's
who I
for
want to
now.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we put a lot of pressure on our youth, especially parents. Sometimes we forget what it was like to be a young person. And I think...
Hello?
Oh, hello.
Hi, we have a
Hello.
We have a
caller.
caller.
How are you guys?
I'm good.
Thank
How are
you.
you?
Thank you for
Very
calling in.
interesting to hear your show and be on the other side
Ah.
of the line.
Sayyida Basma, you're so missed today.
Thank you. I'm so proud of all of you. It's very interesting to listen to your conversations. I think I came in at the right time, talking about parents, I think, right?
Yes.
Yes, but first of all, I'm so proud of the young minds that we have, honestly. You're doing such a big job. You're helping us reach and bridge between us and the younger generation. I have a question, and I hope you guys can answer it for me and for the rest. Do you feel the youth actually understand the words that are used for mental health, and do they understand that depression doesn't mean sadness, and that if you're anxious, it can be normal. You can be anxious sometimes. It's normal words you can use, or sometimes maybe they use it in the wrong context, like they're sad, but they'll say they're depressed. So do they understand these topics? Because now we're facing another type of conversations where we are using all the words, because before people didn't used to talk about it, but now we're using it out of context sometimes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the question. I think there's a huge misconception because these aren't things that we were taught in school. So we get all our information, people get all their information from social media. They form these ideas in their mind, or they speak to their friends who are possibly also misinformed, and then they come up with their own conclusions.
Right.
So
I agree in that, because even when you see people, plus even a part of Young Minds, we have a lot of volunteers that come in, and we sometimes have these conversations, and sometimes we have to correct them, or even like sometimes with clients, with like, what does depression actually mean? What does anxiety mean? What does it mean to be a narcissist? What does it mean to be gaslit? And I think from there they learn. But I agree, it is misused nowadays.
Yeah, there are
So
particular
we need to
words.
revise our vocabularies again.
Yeah. I think that's very necessary.
Okay, thank
Let's do
you.
that.
And I'm very excited about this show. And yes, as parents, we do tend to forget that we did go through things as well. So spot on. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the show. I'll be listening.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so
calling.
much.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Maybe we need another episode for like a whole vocabulary check.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because there are specific particular words that we hear a lot, like, and we see it like at school, at college, that people guilt each other with those words, that you're being narcissistic, or you're being toxic,
Or you're gaslighting
being
me.
abusive. And maybe that's that's a big word for the behavior that you're seeing. So I agree, we need to talk about it in more details, maybe for
Alright.
one episode.
Let's do that. So we're talking about families, but I also wanted to kind of steer into life transitions.
yes.
You know, like the youth go through different transitions between leaving high school, going into college, and then from college getting married, leaving the country. So a lot of changes
Right.
during that period. But we will go on a short break, and then we will come back.
This is Oman FM. This is Oman FM.
We are back, and please call us and share your stories with us on 24949493 and let us know how is your journey as a youth. So we already discussed some of the challenges that youth go through. One of them was family dynamic, academic pressure, social media, body image. Sarah, what about life transitions? Because I do believe as a youth, we experience a lot of transitions in family, in society, how that impacts youth.
Like life transitions, like moving from high school to college. I get that a lot from clients, or moving, getting married. Those are all big life transitions. Even when a sibling is getting married and moving out of the house, that's also another life transition.
Right.
And I think it's good to pay attention to all of these changes, because you need to understand, okay, what am I feeling right now during those changes? Who am I
Becoming
after
these changes.
these changes, and also readjusting, because I think through every life transition we are readjusting to a part of ourselves. And I think a big one is moving from high school to college. I know I experienced that big transition, that feeling lost, feeling I'm not sure what I'm doing, moving to the country. Because imagine moving from high school to college, and then also leaving the country. So that's like a
Too many things together.
double transition.
Yeah.
So that was a hard period.
And it takes time, right?
It does
to
take time.
readjust.
It does take time to readjust. And I know, Karim, you're still in college. So, like, how was that transition for you? I know I talked a little bit about how it might have been a bit difficult for me and leaving the country. But what about you?
For me, I'd say it wasn't too hard, because at least I was still in Oman, I still had my family and friends. But I know a lot of my friends that studied abroad, they got homesick. Did you ever feel homesick?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
For a whole year.
And it affects you guys really hard.
It does.
But for me, alhamdulillah, it was pretty good. Like, yes, the timings were different, and I was driving there, but it was a smooth transition for me.
All right, that's great.
But I know a lot of people that come from different cultures that are in my university.
Yes, exactly.
And for them, it hit them hard, like really hard. What do you think, Moni?
That was really nice, Karim, to share your experience, because it means that life transitions are not necessarily negative.
Yeah.
It's
So
different.
It's different. It could be even challenging and positive. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily negative. For you, it was a smooth.
Yeah, thank God.
Actually,
Alhamdulillah, it's smooth, yeah.
I actually know a young person who was in a specific school here in Oman. She's also South African, like me. And so she was raised in a South African family with her sisters. And at a point in grade 10, she changed from one school to another. And because of that, she had to make new friends. And that was very challenging for her. I don't think she ever fully recovered from that. And then after that, she had to make the transition from high school to university. She struggled with that. Now she's living in South Africa. In South Africa, I think this is the reason why a lot of people come to Oman, and it's a lovely place for expats, because we leave our lives in our home countries because life and the opportunities here in Oman are better for us. So going back to South Africa as a young person, even for me, I went back to South Africa when I was in university. But it poses a lot of challenges for her, especially still being in her parents' house. They have retired, and they've moved back to South Africa from Oman. So all of them are back in the house together, and being under her parents' roof and having to follow those rules is very challenging for her.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, some of the times youth have transitions back to back. Let's say they're going to college, and at the same time one of their siblings is getting married, the other one is getting divorced, and there are some financial problems in the household. So imagine how they're gonna readjust themselves with all these changes that are happening at the same time. I think in this particular moments, it's really important, what is your support system, and how can you be enough kind to yourself, because you're going through a lot of things and you need time to process each one of them.
Yes, I think we have a caller.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Hello. Salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Who we are talking to? Thank you for calling.
Actually, my name is Naveen, and I'm from Sri Lanka.
Naveen.
Working as a scientist for this country for 9 years.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm a professional dancer as well. So the thing is, hello everyone, Karim, Monique, I know them before.
Hi, Naveen.
Hi.
So I would like to, at this point, I would like to ask your suggestion on this as well. What about the free time? Most of us, we cannot handle the free time, you know. So too much, I know the lack of free time also leads to stress and stuff, but too much of free time won't make you happier as well, right?
Yeah.
Like Karim said, creativity is a big part of this all this the subjects here and there. But I think we should add this creativity in our too much of free time. I just wanted to ask, is it a good idea or is it a bad idea? Because you guys are the professionals in this area, right?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. How to use your free time, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's important to know what you're doing during your free time. What are the things that are nurturing you? What are the things that are helping you grow? And I think sometimes doing nothing is okay as well. I think we don't emphasize that enough, is that, okay, even if you're in your free time, you're doing nothing. That is also healing and necessary. Because we're living in a fast-paced life.
Yeah.
And we're constantly finding something to do. So when we have nothing to do, we start overthinking, or we just start like feeling low. But how can we nurture those moments in that without it having to be an issue? What do you guys think?
I think you can simply ask a question of yourself that if I had time, I would then try to complete the sentence. And I believe our answer to this question might change day to day. Maybe today you just need to chill and watch a movie, and tomorrow in your free time you want to go and see one of your friends. So always ask this question: if I had time, what do I need to do today? What my body needs, what my mind needs today to do.
You know, that's very interesting because yesterday I had the same problem. I had so much free time, and I realized that I was just going in a thought loop, and I was thinking about things that bring a lot of negative energy.
I see.
So what I do in my free time, which I feel like is really good, is explore your creative side. See what you got, you know, draw something, paint something, create something.
Yes.
I feel like channel that free time that you have with your creativity and create something amazing.
I think also when you have free time, one of the challenges is what is actually going on in your mind. What is your inner environment? And that's why sometimes when we sit in silence, it's because of what's happening in your inner environment that causes that stress or causes some negativity.
And sometimes you feel negative because you have this should statement in your head that I
should
have
be
to
doing
do
this,
something.
yeah.
Sometimes doing nothing is the best option, even the most creative option for your free time. Just explore the moment, be mindful with what you're eating, what you're watching, with your body, reconnect with your bodily emotions. So that could be an option. But thank you for the question. Thank you for calling.
Thank you so
Thank you for the
much.
answers and everything, for sharing with us.
Thank you.
And
Have a
good
lovely
luck,
day
everyone.
ahead.
Have a good day.
You
Yes,
too.
everyone.
You too.
Take care, Monique. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
That was a great question.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a question that was needed, because I think we touched upon different points, and like, how can we channel our creativity? How can we use our free time? That it's okay to use our free time to do nothing.
Yeah.
And I think the youth definitely encounter this because, for example, when you're in university, you have the semester where you're working and studying and assignments and all that stuff. And then you have your holiday, your break, where it's like now there's nothing to do. So youth definitely go through this challenge.
And sometimes there is this pressure and expectation from family that don't waste your time.
Yes.
Even in
Read
the
a book.
summer, go for summer camp or go for
Go
this
work,
class.
go do
work.
something with your
You know, it's just go next to each other. So I believe even this is good for parents and family to realize that sometimes you just need a break, and it's up to the youth what they like to do with their freedom.
Yeah. So we will go on a short break, and then we will wrap up. Thank you for everyone who's been listening to us. We'll be back shortly.
This is Oman FM. is Oman FM.
So we are back on the Unsaid show. We were talking about youth and their well-being and some of the challenges that some of the youth go through. And we just wanted to wrap up and kind of talk about how can we maybe share a message, or how can the youth maintain their well-being on their day-to-day life.
Guys, do you want to share what do you do as youth?
Yeah. Like to maintain your well-being.
To maintain my well-being, I'm the type of guy that journals.
Nice.
So whenever I feel overwhelmed, whenever things get too much, I write it down. And only recently I learned that I do get overwhelmed and I do get impulsive. So writing things down does help me feel grounded. And plus it's getting the thoughts that are on repeat from your mind onto a piece of paper. That's what helps me.
I like to tell people that it's good the journaling is helpful because you kind of separate your thought from who you are. So a lot of times when we have a lot of thoughts, we kind of internalize all these thoughts and make it about me. Like this is me. When maybe it's not you, it's just a thought. So I love
You're more than your thoughts.
Yeah, you're more than your thought.
Nice.
Thank you for sharing that, Karim.
For me, I move. So I'm studying movement therapy at the moment, and dancing and moving as a way for me is, like as Naveen said, it's a great channel to get some of the negative energy out, and it's healthy as well in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I guess to make peace with your body image, right?
Exactly, definitely. Because having that agency, being able to move, it's very, very, and the music as well. It also creates a vibe, and as you guys know, I'm always moving around and dancing.
Nice. That's beautiful. That's so
Start
beautiful.
connecting with yourself and your body. Lovely.
Yeah.
What about you, Sahar?
I'm still youth.
Yes, you are. Youthfulness is a mindset.
Yeah, it is. But this is what I used to do, and I'm still doing, is to find my safe circle. What are those people around me that I can count on them, that I'm comfortable with them? Because to me, connection is very important. And I feel this sense of belonging when I'm talking to someone. And I know in my contact, at least I have 3 people that I can call them and they're going to listen to me. That I can feel heard, that I can feel understood when I'm with them. So I always try to make sure that I have that safe space, that safe circle, even if it is only one person.
That's lovely, Sahar.
How about you?
For me, I exercise. That's just me. That's a personal thing I like to do. It's not for everyone, but I go to the gym. So I channel and release anything that I'm feeling by working out. Another thing that I like to do is meditation and constant learning about myself. I think curiosity, being curious about how I'm feeling, about what's going on, if there's any form of discomfort, like kind of reconnecting with myself again. So that's what I tend to do.
Very nice. And I'm sure there are millions of other ways to maintain your well-being. I believe everyone should just come up with their personal way.
Yeah,
because one thing will work for me, but it won't work for Sara. It
100%.
depends on the person. So there's no shame in trying multiple things until you find the thing that works for you.
Yeah, and I think it's also important, like during this period of growth, is also joining groups, joining organization. Of course, if it has to be like a good group of people where you get to connect with other people, hear other people's perspective, people that respect you. And I think that's the best thing about also like Not Alone, our organization that we join, is we meet every Thursday.
Yes.
And we talk about mental health. And I think it's also finding something that you're interested in.
Right.
And creating a group.
Being part of a group, yes, and feeling that sense of belonging has definitely helped me with my mental health over the past year and a half that I've been part of Not Alone.
So everyone is welcome to join Not Alone and try to find your safe place, to connect with people that can give you right information, that can be healthy in friendships, in a group system. And there are lots of other resources that you can find in that group with those friends.
Yeah, so if you guys have any other tips that you'd like to share to others, please send it to us on Not Alone Oman, and we will share it with the public. But thank you, Monique and Kareem, for being here today.
course,
Thank you so much for
Such a
having us.
lovely conversation for our callers that called us. We're going to end here. But before we go, do you guys have any messages that you'd want to, like maybe one word that you'd want to?
Yeah, a couple of words.
Yeah, a couple of words. Go ahead.
One sentence.
For
maybe.
me, it doesn't matter how old you are, just embody youth. That's what I want to leave our listeners with today.
For me, don't let anyone define who you are. Don't let your situation define who you are. Only you get to decide who you are.
Yes,
Nice.
lovely.
I just want to mention a Japanese philosophy which is called wabi-sabi. It means celebrating imperfection. I want to invite everyone to celebrate their imperfection because it allows them to grow, to become something.
That's great to have. Thank you guys for all sharing that.
Thank you.
For me, I would say be curious. Get curious about yourself, about what you're going through, and eliminate judgment. Instead of being judgmental, just get curious. That will take you a long way. Thank you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
And
Thanks.
before we go, there's always something that we always say towards the end is
Change begins with you.
All right.